So you want to be a dungeon master?
That's great. We're here to help. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Justin. This week, we're still in class. More specifically, though, we're in subclass. I mean, like, subclasses for the Artificer. So, the Artificer has 4 subclasses, and we're going to go over each of them. These intelligent-based, tinkering half-casters can do so many things in D&D, and we're going to cover as much of it as we can. But there's a lot to go over, so let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
But first, we have another question from a Patreon gang member, Vanessa, via our Discord server. Vanessa brings up this little quandary, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa says, I do what I assume to be a lot of rapport building and role-playing warm-ups for my games. For groups that don't know each other, I'm curious if DMs see it as their role to facilitate rapport building between players, or do they just let it be? What a great question. Let me say that first.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not wholly qualified to answer this question either, just because every table that I've DM'd for has been my friends, like people that I've known for years and years. So there's not really a need for rapport building. I will say that, Justin, you started doing something in our home game of like the RP questions where you kind of, to help the icebreaker questions to kind of get everybody in character. Like, what would your character's car be? Or something like that. That was the most recent one. Yeah. And so that's an interesting way to get everybody kind of thinking as their character. But that's about as far as I think I would have ever gotten is with like rapport building between characters, because like I said, I've mainly only DM'd for my friends.
Yeah, which is super valid. I totally get that. I was the same way up until what I consider to be fairly recently because of, meeting so many people in the TTRPG space and being able to start doing actual plays, both as a player first and then as a DM. I've gotten to DM for more people where there are people at the table who are just meeting for the first time during session 0, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll say is one of the tools I use, because I am from New Jersey and so many of the amazing people that we've met along the way are from not New Jersey and specifically far away sometimes. And so Discord becomes a vital tool, right? In there, creating whether it's a server, a group chat page, or like however you do it, even before session 0, just in the scheduling of session 0 or going over little things and having people be excited about the characters they're going to make and sharing information about that, already rapport is being built.
Mm-hmm.
And then next, and some of that I do feel a responsibility to just make sure everyone gels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
We all want to have a good time.
Inter-party conflict is not fun.
No, it's not fun. And it requires an insane amount of trust to do it in a way that isn't deeply uncomfortable for me. And so I don't really want it. I would rather all the players and all the characters be cool with one another. And, we can figure out interesting ways to make that work. If you want to play the Warlock Fiend patron, so you have a deal with Asmodeus, that's totally fine. We'll figure out a way to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
And then like past that, I do think, session 0 is a big one. Getting to know each other right off the bat. Sometimes for our actual plays, we'll even do like a little mini one shot before we, go live, as it were. That helps. And it's just that
definitely does.
Like there's definitely like things you can do to, I guess, expedite the process or like grease the wheels, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But like sometimes time just helps. Just like the more often people play with one another and stuff like that. The DM already has to manage all these interpersonal communication and relationships as the DM. There's a lot of like unwritten work that can sometimes go into being a dungeon master. Like anytime a player crosses a line or like does something that really bothers other players, or like I don't know, all those silly things like inter-party conflict, like the rogue decides to steal 200 gold out of someone's pocket. That could create some tension and some strife. and you got to deal with it. So there's a lot of that already. But to Taylor's point about what we do in home games, I'm a big fan of icebreakers. I always have been. Even like, this is personal, but like even in the dating world, like I'm that stereotype first date where I'm gonna ask you like, what's your favorite color? If you could travel to any country tomorrow with no cost, where would you go? What's your favorite kind of cuisine? Like all those kind of favorites questions, like very like first date questions. I'm all about that. I also was an RA in college. I fucking love icebreakers. If it was up to me, every single session of D&D would start with two truths and a lie.
That's fun.
Love that game. But some people aren't about it. It's like immediately initiates like some vulnerability, like getting out of your comfort zone, talking about yourself, making up a lie about yourself. So then you feel like some pressure to like, it becomes a little bit gamified. But at the same time, in my experience,
just knowing more about everybody.
Yeah, gamifying things sometimes works really well, which is why icebreakers exist. But like, yeah, that's been a fun one so far, is putting it into the perspective of the characters. So it's not just, if you could, what's your favorite cuisine, or like what would your last meal be, like if you were on death row, but not just your character.
Right.
It gets pretty interesting. Even like putting things into modern perspectives, like the car question was really like, obviously in the setting that home game is, there are no cars, obviously. It's
exactly
carts,
right.
But I mean, there's airships, but that's different because magic exists, but there's no cars. And like
one big car.
A bus.
1,000%. Yeah.
Although
I just thought of Gallatin driving a double-decker like British tour bus.
Oh, that's incredible. See, I picture
his car.
I have an adventure idea written down on an index card that just says a road trip, an RV road trip through the plane of fire. And I think it would be a really funny idea, because I think I wrote that one when I was outside one day and it was so fucking hot. And I was like, God, thank God I don't have to go on like a road trip adventure with my family or something like that. Like, what a nightmare that would be in this heat. And then immediately thought of the plane of fire. I was like, oh, what if all the PCs were like one family traveling in an RV through the plane of fire? And like, what would the tourist locations be? You know what I mean? How fucking funny would that be? What does a pit stop look like?
Fireplane's biggest meatball.
Yeah, dude. Just a cooked meatball. It's burnt.
Just a briquette at this point.
Yeah. I just thought that would be so funny. But anyway.
That is great.
Let's get into the meat of the episode. We have a lot to talk about.
Let's do
There's
it.
4
we do have so
freaking
much.
Artificer subclasses. Take us off on a journey, my friend.
All right. Well, let's start off with the alchemist subclass. We'll go through this top to bottom, alphabetical order, all that shit. So one of the cool things about the artificer in general is with each of your subclasses, you kind of use a different, depending on your subclass, you'll use a different set of artisan's tools as your spellcasting focus, which is pretty just interesting for flavor reasons. I don't know, like it depends on the table how important your spellcasting focuses are. Foci focuses, well, I think it's foci. But it's like, so starting with the alchemist here, your spellcasting focus is going to be your alchemist kit. The way that I play it in Mythos is like, I've just got a little kind of like a little test tube tray in a leather pouch that I kind of wear on my hip that has all my different potions and stuff in it. But you can kind of flavor it however you want. You just kind of mix a couple of things into a flask and then chuck the flask at somebody. It could be, anything along those lines. So, and also, each subclass gets their own kind of domain spells. Whatever your subclass has its own special spells. And with we'll just kind of go over them real quick. For Alchemist, starting at level 3, you get Healing Word, which is cool because you can get Cure Wounds as an Alchemist, but you can't get Healing Word As an Artificer, you can get Cure Wounds, but you can't get Healing Word.
Mm-hmm.
With Alchemist, you get Healing Word at level 3. You get Ray of Sickness as a spell. At level 5, you get Flaming Sphere and Melf's Acid Arrow. Acid Arrow is a lot of fun. I like that one. Just because it does that lingering damage, which is nice. At level 9, you get Gaseous Form and Mass Healing Word. At level 13, you'll get Blight and Death Ward. And then 17, Cloud Kill and Raise Dead.
Solid spells.
A lot of really fun spells in there.
Yeah.
A lot of really fun spells in there.
And they all very much fit the Alchemist vibe.
Absolutely. These are very easy to flavor however you want for Alchemist and make it like kind of more potion related than, casting it from a spellbook or whatever.
Yeah. And I love any type of, if you're a spellcaster, whether it's half caster or full caster, and your subclass gives you like permanently prepared spells, that's a win.
Oh yeah.
No matter what the spells are.
More known spells is always awesome.
They could even be spells where you're like, oh, I could see myself maybe using that. It's still a W because you always have it prepared. So that's just dope.
Yeah.
Whereas like, what is it? Warlocks or something? There's one or two that where it's like, here's a list of spells you can learn. And I'm always like, fuck off. Damn freaking clerics getting auto prepared spells. Like, come on. So that's dope.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are going to be your alchemist spells that you get. Obviously, you're going to get that tool proficiency for alchemist supplies as an alchemist. Like that's your tool proficiency that you get as part of the bonus for the subclass.
Yeah. And remember, if you listen to the last episode, what level is it where you get expertise in everything that you're proficient in?
Level 6.
Hell yeah. So
yeah.
So
level 6 you'll have expertise with those tools as well as the other ones that you are able to know. If for some reason you already had proficiency with alchemist supplies, you can pick a different artificer's tool, so you will always have those 2 tool proficiencies or artisan tools proficiencies.
Incredible.
Regardless of if you already knew it or not. The other pretty nifty thing as far as alchemist at level 3, you get the experimental elixir. This is something that I haven't really used because it hasn't really come up too much. But basically what it is, you take a long rest and you spend part of that long rest brewing an experimental potion. And the thing about it is you don't get to choose what kind of potion it is. You're going to roll a d6 to figure out what this experimental elixir does. There's obviously 6 different things it could be. You can also, and you can give this to anybody. Anybody can use this potion. It's just the effect is triggered when somebody drinks it. You can also create additional elixirs if you spend a first level spell slot. So you can, if you want to make a bunch for the party or, just for your use, because again, you're not going to be able to pick what they are. So you can kind of keep trying if you want to spend the spell slots for it. Then starting at level 6, you'll be able to create 2 per long rest for free. And then at level 15, you'll be able to do 3 per long rest. As far as the effects that come with it, there's a handful of them. First one, healing, easy peasy, 2d4 plus your intelligence modifier HP. You can give that, like I said, you can give this to anybody. They can use it as a healing potion. So 2d4 plus your intelligence modifier of HP. There's a swiftness potion, which increases your walking speed by 10 feet for an hour. There's resilience, which gives you a +1 to AC until a long rest, I believe. Let me see. Nope, 10 minutes. +1 to AC for 10 minutes, which is nice. Boldness, which when you drink the boldness potion, you're going to roll a d4. And then you're going to take that number and add it to your attack rolls and saving throws. You're not going to re-roll it every time. It's just if you roll a 3, you're going to add 3 to all your attack rolls and saving throws. For why did I not put any times on here? For the next minute.
Incredible.
Yeah, so a minute you'll get the D4, and you're going to just add that same D4 to everything. Flight, which is really cool. It's only 10 feet of flight, but you get 10 feet of flying speed for 10 minutes. And then the last one is transformation. If you roll a 6, the drinker's body is transformed as if by the Alter Self spell. It's not concentration. Your body changes.
Yeah, for
and
10 minutes.
you get to choose. If whoever drinks it, they get to choose which part, like which aspect they want to take for the Alter Self spell, whether it be the claws or the whatever. Yeah.
I gotcha. Very, very cool.
Because there's like Alter Self has a 4 or 5 different things that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
So
and let me ask you, for these elixirs, I have 2 questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First question is, you as the DM or you as the alchemist, either way, do you roll for the effects after the long rest when you create the things, or when the person drinks them, which is extra chaotic?
When you create the potion, it says in the rules. When you create it, you're going to roll a d6.
Got it. So you kind of, it is random, but once it's made, you know.
You know what it is. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
That
it's
makes
not like
more
just
sense.
some random.
I know. I was kind of thinking that would be crazy, though.
It would be wild. I thought about it, and like it'd be fun to kind of like play it like that, where it's just like, okay, here's a potion, have fun.
Yeah, that is kind of fun.
But
I mean, you could still play it that way.
As an alchemist,
you're the alchemist.
You could still play it that way,
knows.
where you do the alchemist, pop the lid, and just drink it just as like random, and then roll the d6, make it kind of like a wild magic thing. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. That is kind of funny. Okay, so that was my first question. I kind of agree. I was figuring that was how it should be ruled. But next question is, do they stack?
There's no verbiage that says you can't have the effect of more than one potion on you.
Okay. Because I'm thinking
there's nothing that specifically says that.
Obviously,
it would be nice if they could stack. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to do if you wind up getting like resilience and transformation, that would be freaking dope. Or resilience and boldness. Really, I'm a big sucker for high AC, so resilience is always going to be my one that I always want. But a lot of these will stack together.
Would you allow them to stack if it was the same one? 2 resiliences?
That's tough. I think I would, just because at maximum they're lasting for 10 minutes, other than the swiftness. Swiftness lasts for an hour. So
yeah, true.
So like it might make one encounter kind of broken, but there's always easy ways to
Plus it's a D6.
Some of these things and make it
the chances of them getting so many resilience. Even at level 15, they get 3 chances to get a 3/3/3.
Well, it's up
unless they want to burn
up to as
a bunch of slots.
First level spell slots. Yeah.
But
it does. Oh, it says first level or higher. So yeah, you can sit there and make these experimental potions for as many spell slots as you've got.
That's crazy. That's a funny idea.
And then the elixirs only last until the end of your next long rest, so you can't like stockpile them. You're like, oh, I've got a resilience potion, I'm going to hang on to this one, and then tomorrow I'll make another one. No. Right. They last for one long rest, and then they disappear, or not necessarily disappear, but lose their magical effect.
Their half-life.
The magic wears off. Right, exactly,
or whatever. I get it.
The reaction is done. There's nothing else going on. Like it's all gone down to its component parts. But yeah, that's a really fun part of the Alchemist that I haven't used a whole lot. I will probably wind up using in this final episode that we got recording coming up. But starting at level 5 for the Alchemist. You're going to get the Alchemical Savant feat. This will allow you to add your intelligence modifier to acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, or you can add it to healing. So some of these spells that are like 2d6 or 2d8 damage with like a cantrip or something like that, it's basically giving you the agonizing blast feature of being able to add anytime. Yes. So
and at level 5, that's dope.
Yeah.
Because it's like it also makes me think of obviously it limits it by damage type, but it kind of makes me think of the potent cantrips of a lot of the cleric domains.
Yeah.
But they don't get that until like level 8, I want to say.
I think it might be higher than that.
I think
I really do. I'd have to go look it up, but I think it's higher than that.
It could be. It could be level 11 or
I think it's 14 or 11. It's either 11 or 14.
We'll check right now. I'm going to click on the light domain. Potent spellcasting, 8th level.
8th level. Okay.
I nailed it.
Good job. I don't know my own class.
Take that, wizards.
So yeah, and it's really cool that you can add it not only to your damage stuff, but also to your healing stuff. So like your healing word, your cure wounds and stuff like that are now, you're already adding, like, I think cure wounds is already, it'll at first level, it's 2d8 plus your intelligence modifier. Then you'll get to add your intelligence modifier again.
Cure wounds. Yeah. First level 1d8 plus whatever your mod is, and then healing word, which you get as an alchemist, 1d4 plus your int twice.
And then, so now you'll add it twice at the end of those spells, which is if you got a 5, that's an extra 10 and extra 10 health on top of whatever you roll. Which healing word is one of those spells that I avoid using a lot unless it's a necessity, just because 1d4, even like if you're upcasting it to 3d4, it just doesn't have that same oomph to it, and then this makes it so that you can it makes it, especially at 5th level, you'll be potentially out healing the healer.
Potentially. Yeah, I think that's why this is like a great example of a build that would work if you wanted to have a slightly more focus on healing. Yeah, this is Artificer, or Alchemist is a really good, I hate that they both start with A's. Alchemist is a good one to be that off healer, or just straight up the party healer, because as an alchemist you get access to pretty much all the same stuff, minus like revivify and stuff like that, but you get raised dead eventually.
You do get raised dead, which is kind
Not
of
17th level, but still.
Yeah. Isn't that's a zombie thing though, right?
No, it sounds like
that's just a,
but it's
it sounds like it's just, that's a resurrection spell. Okay, cool. So yeah, you do get it at 17th level, but generally wouldn't be really getting access to that at all. And that is a 5th level spell, which is your highest spell slot.
Yeah. Yeah, but even the next ability is like good for not like some healing and some support class in that way. Restorative reagents at level 9. It looks like you get 2 different sort of mini abilities when you level up there. Whenever a creature drinks one of your experimental elixirs, they gain temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier. Solid. That's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to just, as you level up, you're going to keep being able to make more and more of those. So it just makes them better. No downsides there, really. And also, you can cast Lesser Restoration without expending a spell slot without preparing the spell, as long as you use Alchemist Supplies as the spellcasting focus, which there's a strong possibility you're doing that already. You can do so a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. And then a long rest regains all those uses. I like that a lot because Lesser Restoration is one of those spells that, depending on the class that you are and how many spells you're allowed to have prepared at one time, it's a spell that I'm always like, man, if I have that prepared and it comes up, like a time comes up when it's necessary, it feels great. But sometimes it's always like, especially I'm thinking of like bards where you don't have a ton of spells prepared, Right. And it's always like, damn, do I really want to use one of my known spells for Lesser Restoration? Because if it doesn't come up, I'm going to feel like such shit.
Right. But then when it does come up, you really need it.
Yeah. There's so many times in a combat when like your big barbarian is blinded and you're like, fuck.
Right.
Or some shit like that. Or you're the bard and everyone's deafened and you're like, damn, this really blows. No one can hear me. Something like that. Like those things are huge.
Yeah.
So I like this ability a lot.
And I like that you can do it up to your intelligence modifier times per long rest.
It's huge.
Like that's huge. It's like 5 extra spell slots and a free prepared spell that you just kind of have and can do, which is, awesome. I'm always going to advocate for that, even if it is just it's only lesser restoration for the reasons that Justin was just saying. It's like it's one of those spells that it feels like it's kind of just taking up a spot in your spells.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of takes that out of it, where it's not, but you can still do it if you need it, but it's not taking up any space. It's just kind of there if you need it.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. And then at level 15, we're looking at Chemical Mastery. This is you have become the master alchemist that you've always desired to be, and the weird thunder, lightning in the background, mixing potions and the bubbles and all that stuff. No, at 15th level, you've been exposed to so many chemicals that they pose little risk to you. And you can actually use them to end certain ailments. You gain resistance to acid and poison damage, and you're now immune to the poison condition, which is big. And then also, you get greater restoration and heal. You can cast them without expending a spell slot. You don't have to prepare it, and you don't have to have the material component because if you're using your alchemist supplies. And then you can, once you cast either spell with this feature, you can't cast it again until you finish a long rest. The way that I read that is you get 1 use of greater restoration and 1 use of heal per long rest.
1 each. I don't read it that way. I think it's one or the other. Because
it says you can't cast that spell.
Say it one more time.
With it again. The way that it says is once you cast either spell with this feature, you can't cast that spell with it again.
Oh, yeah. I didn't read that last part. Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Because it's so like if you cast greater restoration, you can't cast greater restoration again, but you can still cast heal until you cast heal again. And then they're both dead.
100%. Yeah. You get 1 use of each.
Yeah. Which both of those huge things, and again it kind of plays into being the party heal.
Yeah, huge support. Heal is an insanely great spell. 70 hit points automatically.
Mm-hmm.
No rolling necessary.
Well, 70.
It's incredible.
75 because you've got the other feature where you can add your intelligence modifier to it. So at level 15, you should have a +5 in your intelligence. So there you go, 75 health.
Yeah, and it ends blindness, deafness, and any diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Does not work on constructs or undead.
Yeah.
That's why it's risky to take that one fucking... there's one like ancestry in the game called like the Undying or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but it's like technically you're considered an undead. Like anytime someone casts Turn Undead, you have to roll for it. But that's really specific. Yeah, it has other dope ass benefits though. Like it's much harder to kill you. You essentially have undead fortitude.
Okay.
So
that's nice.
Yeah, give and take. But that's dope, dude. Alchemist is sick.
Hell yeah.
Plus, just the RP and flavor that's built in to that as something that floats around in your mind palace of like, what is an alchemist?
Yeah, that's my big thing of it is like the flavor side of it is so it's so juicy. It's so it just tastes so good, so flavorful.
100%.
So full of flavor.
Alchemist is a classic trope in medieval sort of fantasy stories and stuff like that. And then another one, moving on to our next subclass, another huge trope in medieval fantasy stories, Iron Man. So here is the armorer.
Iron Man. Yeah, totally.
I'm reading these abilities.
I just jumped right on board with that.
Pretty much fucking Iron Man. I'm reading these abilities.
This is Iron Man.
So
1,000%.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So starting off at 3rd level, tools of the trade, just like most of them. First, you gain a proficiency with heavy armor. Then you gain proficiency with smith's tools. Same thing as before. If you already have this tool proficiency, you just a different artisan's tools. Nice and easy. A bunch of essentially domain spells that the armor is going to get. These are solid as hell. These are fucking solid as hell.
They're
Strap
really
in,
good.
friends. Here they come. Artificer level 3, third level. You're getting Magic Missile and Thunder Wave. 2 solid ass spells. So much versatility, surprisingly, for Magic Missile. Because it's just, this guy's on death's door. Perfect. Anyway. Level 5. You're getting Mirror Image and Shatter.
Amazing.
Insanely good spells.
Amazing. Especially because you're already proficient with heavy armor, so technically your AC is probably going to be really good anyway, and then you're casting Mirror Image on yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
100%. Absolutely incredible. 9th level, Hypnotic Pattern, Paralyze some people, and Lightning Bolt. An incredible line-based line-based electricity spell that does 8d6 at 3rd level. Really, really fun. I think it's, 100 feet, 120 feet long? 100 feet long. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So that one's a lot of fun. Sometimes I pick that over Fireball, like for Magical Secrets with Bards, because I like the challenge. I think it's slightly more challenging to hit a bunch of people with that than it is a Fireball.
Yeah, but with 100 feet, you can do a lot with 100 feet.
Oh, yeah. You can also get real squirrely with it. Don't forget that. Because it's that long of a line, you can really thread the needle between your allies and be like, all right, if I crouch down, can I angle it upwards? I'm going to hit the flying creature. I'm going to hit the manticore. So fun. I love Lightning Bolt. At 13th level, you get Fire Shield and Greater Invisibility. I've had Greater Invisibility as a spellcaster, and let me tell you, dope. Dope as hell because you can cast Lightning Bolt when you're fucking invisible, and what's cooler than that?
Right. And it's like the way that I kind of imagine Greater Invisibility working for an armorer is it's just like that super futuristic active camouflage shit from Metal Gear Solid. Where you just kind of your freaking armor has a bunch of little screens on it that change colors to make it look like you're not even there.
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of nanobots, there's a thing slightly further right after this. If you want to go over Arcane Armor, I mean, that's fucking nanobots to a T. But at 17th level, you get Pass Wall, which I got to be honest, not 100% familiar with the spell. So I had to look this one up. It's an action, 30 feet range, lasts an hour. A passage appears at a point of your choice that you can see on a wooden, plaster, or stone surface, such as a wall, a ceiling, or a floor, and it lasts for the duration, so again, an hour. You choose the opening's dimensions, up to 5 feet wide, 8 feet tall, and 20 feet deep. The passage creates no instability in a structure surrounding it, so you don't have to worry about load-bearing walls being disappeared. When the opening disappears, any creatures or objects still in the passage created by the spell are safely ejected to an unoccupied space nearest to the surface
on which you cast the spell. So you can't, I just thought of something that possibly could break it, and it doesn't work like this, but say you can only create a 20-foot deep thing, right? So you've got a wall that's 25 feet deep. You can't just make the passage and then go sit 20 feet in and then have it pop you out because the other side's technically closer.
Right, exactly.
It ejects you back to where you came from.
You're better off digging 5.5 feet through the stone wall and then casting the spell.
Right.
So that it goes all the way through.
Right.
But still a potentially super sick encounter breaking spell. Depending. And then Wall of Force, which is one of my many nemesis.
Wall of Force. Oh man,
we have to do it. That's a good idea for a bonus action.
Poor giant
is our least favorite DM spells, but we'll record it as a joke. It doesn't mean people can't take them.
It just thorns in our sides.
Yeah,
as far as different spells and stuff. Yeah, because there's a lot.
Shield.
There's a lot. You can break this game pretty good. Shield's way up there.
Silvery barbs.
Yep.
Fuck off.
Man, just wait till I start using mirror image and shield. I think I lost it as a result of multi-classing, but I used to have it as Kaladin, mirror image and shield, and it. Oh man.
Yeah. At least mirror image, the mirrors themselves
It breaks
have
away
a lower
eventually.
AC
Yeah.
than you would. So that makes it slightly like at least there's a chance. I'll feel good just breaking through illusions. I'll take that as lowercase w's.
Right. Lowercase w's. So yeah, those are your that's your domain spells for the armorer. The next thing you get at level 3 is going to be your arcane armor. So you were able to now make your armor in a way that this is why we were talking about like it's the Iron Man suit, because your armor actually becomes a spellcasting focus for you almost. Basically you can turn a suit of armor that you're wearing into arcane armor using your smith tools, and it's an action. So some of the benefits that you get while wearing the armor, if it usually has a strength requirement, the arcane armor lacks that requirement for you. Full plate, yes please.
Yep.
You can use the armor, like I said, you can use the arcane armor as your spellcasting focus for your artificer spells. The armor is attached to you, can't be removed against your will. It also expands to cover your entire body, although you can retract or deploy the helmet as a bonus action. Replaces any missing limbs, functioning identically to a body part that it's replacing. This is very similar to that same Artificer Infusion, which has the same kind of ability. And you can doff and don the armor as an action. So it's just an action to take off your full plate suit or put it on. And then it continues to be arcane armor until you put on another suit of armor or you die.
Incredible.
Like full death, not incapacitated, die.
Yeah. But
yeah,
pretty sick.
That's your arcane armor. Like this is where it is kind of starting to be Iron Man-ish, and then we'll get into more of the other stuff a little bit here in a second. But yeah. You want to talk about the different models?
I would love to talk about the different models. So to wrap up level 3, I mean, god dang, what a chunky thing, a couple things you get at level 3.
Third level, yeah.
Is heavy for armor here because you get a couple domain spells, you get some proficiencies, you get arcane armor, and you get armor model. So when you make this arcane armor, you get to pick between 2 different sort of builds going forward, different models. Remember in the more recent Pokemon, sometimes you get to pick between the 2 different kinds of bicycles. One is for speed, one is for tricks. That's kind of what we got going on here. You get to choose. You can also, you can, just like you can in Pokemon, you can just go back to the store and trade them out for free. You can also just change what model armor you have on a short or long rest, as long as you have the tools in hand. And when you're using this, each of the models has like a special weapon. That weapon, you get to use your intelligence modifier for attack rolls and damage instead of strength or dexterity. So that's dope as hell.
Yeah.
The arcane armor, getting rid of the strength requirement makes all the more sense because of it. So your character,
absolutely.
Even though the armorer is going to be slightly more on the tanky DPS side of things, you do not have to like stack strength.
Right.
So
you can this is where I think Artificer really shines as a half caster, because you get all of these abilities that are based off of your spellcasting modifier rather than having to dual class where you have to stack strength and also intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely. So here are the 2 builds. First one is called the Guardian. The Guardian is designed for the front line of conflict. You get the following features. First, you get Thunder Gauntlets. So crazy. You have a simple melee weapon. While you aren't holding anything in these gauntlets, they deal 1d8 thunder damage on a hit. So that's a longsword, like a one-handed longsword. That's the equivalent there. A creature hit with a gauntlet has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you until the start of your next turn, as the armor magically emits a distracting pulse. That's crazy. Yeah, a built-in goading
Yeah.
attack minus the extra damage that like battle masters get. So it doesn't do the extra damage that goading attack does, but it still has the effect with no saving throw. What the fuck? That's insane. That's so crazy. That's so
or
crazy.
like compelled duel or some. What is it?
Yeah.
Compelled duel? Is that the
It's
one where you
exactly
get
like
basically
compelled
just
duel.
and there's no saving
no
throw.
saves. Oh my
There's
god.
no saving
dude.
throw. You just
That's
hit them with it,
broken.
and then
And you're gonna get 2 attacks eventually. Jesus Christ. Okay. And then the other ability you get is Defensive Field. So as a bonus action, you gain temporary hit points equal to your level in the Artificer class, replacing any temporary hit points that you have. So remember, they don't stack or anything like that unless very specifically worded otherwise, which is like 1 in a million. I think there's one effect in the entire game that might stack temporary hit points, but I forget what it is.
Right.
You lose those temp hit points if you take off the armor, and you can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. So starting at 2, ending at 6, and also you regain all uses when you take a long rest. That is the Guardian.
Hell yeah.
Thunder Gauntlets and Defensive Field. Fucking insane.
Yeah, those Thunder Gauntlets are like really they're broken. We were just talking about it. Like it's you're attacking and also basically casting a spell at the same time.
Yeah.
With no saving throw.
Yeah.
Because normally, like compelled duel, like they have to they make a saving throw against it, and then if they pass, then there's no effect. All you have to do is hit them.
It's insane.
And you're adding your intelligence modifier and all this stuff to your attacks now, rather than trying to do strength. So it's a whole thing where you hopefully will be hitting a lot with this character.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then the secondary model that you can choose from, other than the Guardian, is the Infiltrator. So that one makes a little sense based on the name, but it is an armor for subtle undertakings. This one, you have 3 little abilities that come with that armor.
This is the Iron Man
First,
suit.
full Iron Man, lightning launcher. So a gem-like node appears on one of your armored fists or on your chest. So you're literally casting like plasma cannons or ion cannons, or whatever the fuck Iron Man calls them.
Right.
It counts as a simple ranged weapon with a normal range of 90 feet. So that's 10 feet longer than a short bow. Insane. And a long range of 300 feet. It deals 1d6 lightning damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature, you can deal an extra 1d6 lightning damage. So it does a minimum on one attack, 2d6, and then every subsequent one is 1d6, essentially, which is bananas. Also, that's insane. And the way it's worded, you get to choose. So if you know a creature is like about to fucking die, is so close, you can just do 1d6 and then save your second attack, do the 2d6. It's not like sneak attack where it's always the first one. So that's incredible. That's dope as hell. Then you get powered steps. Walking speed goes up by 5 feet. Pretty simple. Always a good thing to get more speed.
Good for your dwarf.
Yeah,
your
great
dwarf
for your
armorer.
Dwarf. Great for your dwarf. Yeah, 5 feet can feel like not that much, but it's always a benefit. And then you get dampening field. You have advantage on dexterity stealth checks. If the armor normally imposes advantage, then
Disadvantage.
they just cancel each other out. That's what I meant to say. Yes.
Yep.
If normally like plate armor gives you disadvantage, now it's just straight. But if it doesn't do that, like if you're wearing mithril or some shit, then you get advantage. So wild.
That's awesome.
Wild.
Yeah.
So yeah,
both
are
definitely
both are dope.
That's a great way to break this class as well, is to get a set of mithril plate and then make it arcane with the infiltrator feat, because now you're having advantage on all your stealth checks for free, basically.
Yeah, for sure. It can really get fucking crazy. And then like the way that this class is written, in my understanding, I guess we'll get to it when we get to the 15th level ability. I have an interesting quandary, but
okay. Well, let's move on then. At 5th level, easy peasy, you got extra attack. So now you're attacking twice per round. And then at level 9, you get armor modifications. This is where the armor gets real crispity crunchity, and I love it. When you're applying infusions to your armor, each piece of your armor counts as a different piece of armor for the sake of infusions. So you get two additional infusions, first and foremost, of infusions that you can have per like not only known, but the ones that you can use. You get 2 extra usable infusions. But these 2 extra infusions must be used on your armor. Your armor now counts as like 5 different pieces. You get the chest piece, the boots, the helmet, and the special weapon, 4 pieces. Each one of those 4 pieces can have a separate infusion on them.
Right.
So you can stack. Yeah. And so, I mean, really and honestly, you can like stack AC infusions on the whole thing, or you can have a bunch of, or another interesting thing would be to stack all the different resistances on there, like 4 of the different resistances on the armor itself.
Yeah.
So you have like damage resistance for your acid, fire, and cold, or something like that. Yeah, but it's wild. So you get, not only do you get more infusions that you can use at one time, but also your armor itself becomes way super stronger.
Okay. I think I'm reading part of this differently. The extra 2.
Okay.
Part.
Yep.
The way I was reading that was in addition, because it's like the last line, right? In addition, the maximum number of items you can infuse at once increases by 2. For some reason in my brain, I thought of that as like part of the Artificer class when you're infusing items, and it's like, where is it? Like, how long does it take? Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch a non-magical object and imbue it with one of your Artificer infusions. So it takes a long rest just to do one, right? Normally, like,
I think so.
So what I was thinking was, when I read this, is that you could take a long rest and infuse 3, but that the numbers of maxes would still stay the same. I could be wrong.
So you're saying,
I thought it was more of
the way that I'm reading it is the number of items that can be infused increases by 2. So like you have,
like in the table where it says,
and yeah, so infused items, that's how many infused items you can have at one time. You can have 2 infused items at one time.
Yeah.
That number goes up by 2. So instead of at level 9, we're looking at 3 infusions. Instead of only being able to do 3, you can do 5 now, but those extra 2 have to be on your armor.
Yeah, I hear you. For some reason, I see that, and I can see where you're coming from, and for all I know, that's right. In my head, because it's the word once, as opposed to you can infuse at one time or something like that, for some reason, I'm reading that as less changing the max number of infused items, but more changing how many you can do at one sitting.
I've cracked the code, and this will clear up all of the whatever we got going on. Under infusing an item in the Artificer thing, it says you can infuse more than one non-magical item at the end of a long rest. The maximum number of objects appears in the infused item column. So you can always do multiple infusions per long rest. It just costs a long rest to do infusing things.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yep, it's right under infusing an item. It's like the 3rd paragraph under there. It's the first sentence says you can infuse more than one at the end of a long rest. So it is, rather than having 3 infusions, you have 5 infusions.
Wow, that seems like a lot. I mean, it's
it
level
is.
9.
It is. I mean, that's the whole point of the subclass, is to have that extra brokenness on your armor. Like, you're an armor master.
Wow, wild. Okay.
All right. So yeah, that's level 9. Level 15. You had some stuff you wanted to talk about.
So level 15,
perfected armor.
Level 15, we get perfected armor. So it just builds on what we had already done under level 3 with the armor model and the 2 different types, Guardian and Infiltrator. And here we get Guardian. Same thing. It's divided into the 2 different types of armors. Before getting into what they do, is this written in such a way where it's like, hey, you picked Guardian at level 3, you have to pick Guardian here?
No, because you can switch back and forth.
Oh, duh. I forgot that it was during a short
rest.
Yeah, short or long rest. Yep. Okay, there you go. Answer that question. Would you let a player double dip, like do the Guardian level 3 things, but then the Infiltrator level 15 thing?
No, it says your arcane armor gains additional benefits based on its model.
Got it. Okay. So Guardian, when a huge or smaller creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you get to use your reaction to magically force it to make a strength saving throw against your spell save. And on a failed save, you pull the creature up to 25 feet directly to an unoccupied space. If you pull it within 5 feet of you, you get to make a melee weapon attack as part of the reaction. Wild. And you get to do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. So the Guardian, you want to be close to people because the huge thing is the Thunder Gauntlets. You're doing melee damage up close and personal. So you want them to be close. You don't have the lightning launcher. You don't have, other than spells, which obviously you have. You don't have range stuff. So you're trying to hit them up close. You can just, if they end their turn within 30 feet of you, you can just pull them towards you. Wild. Magnets.
And sock them in the face when they come in close.
Yeah.
That's also so cool because it's like, get over here. Bow! Punch them right in the mouth. Or you just sit down and charge up with the uppercut, the whoopsie.
Yeah. And now they have disadvantage on any attack rolls against anyone but you.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Exactly, because you just hit them with your Guardian gauntlets.
Yeah, wild. So then the Infiltrator, any creature that takes lightning damage from your lightning launcher glimmers until the start of your next turn. This casts some light. They have disadvantage on attack rolls against you as the light jolts. In addition, the next attack roll against it has advantage, and if that attack hits, the target takes extra damage.
Jesus, why would you do anything but Infiltrator?
Yeah. Now your lightning launcher is essentially, less damage, fire. But it's essentially, I was going to say guiding bolt almost.
Oh, yeah.
With the added advantage of the disadvantage thing. Not only do you have advantage on it, and it just says, or not even just you, it's the next attack roll.
Which
is crazy because if you hit with the first one, your second attack, you get advantage. If you hit with that one, then the next attack gets advantage. They just it's a fucking advantage train. God damn.
And it's got disadvantage against you, so even if it's mad, it can't really do anything about it.
Yeah. Wild as hell. Yeah, the armor, what a fucking 180-degree whiplash between the alchemist and the armor.
Yeah.
And next up, the artillerist.
The artillerist is fun. So the artillerist is kind of like you get a little buddy that you can create. It's like a cannon thing that you can kind of you've just always got a cannon with you, just for whatever reason. So you get a lot of really fun spells too. Some of my favorites in this, the artillerist is going to specialize in the kind of DPS side of things, as opposed to being like, we've done healer, we've done tank, now we're in DPS side of things. So starting at 3rd level, you're going to get woodcarver's tools as your little artisan's tools proficiency. Obviously, you can pick another one if you've already got it. The artillerist spells that you get are, like I said, some of my favorites. Level 3, Shield, Thunderwave. Awesome. Level 5, you get Scorching Ray and Shatter. Also really fun spells. 9th level, you'll get Fireball and Wind Wall. 13th level, Ice Storm, Wall of Fire. And then 17, you're going to get Cone of Cold and Wall of Force. And a lot of these are those really either projected evocation spells or some kind of abjuration for protecting yourself and your allies. All of these really fun, solid spells. And then also at level 3, you're getting your Eldritch Cannon. Basically, you know how to make a giant... it says it's a smaller tiny cannon as an action within 5 feet of you. The cannon's got 18 AC plus 5 times your artificer level as HP. It's a construct, so it's immune to poison and psychic damage. And then all of its ability scores are a 10, so just a +0 across the board. because it's one of your little artificer constructs, you can cast mending on it. That's the same for like the homunculus servant and the steel defender, which we'll get into when we get into the battlesmith. Mending on it gives it 2d6 HP. The cannon will also last for an hour or until it drops down to 0 HP. You can choose to give it legs if you want. It's so silly. It kind of silly. You can activate the cannon as a bonus action within 60 feet. If you do choose to give it legs, I don't know why you would choose not to, but if you do, it can walk or climb up to 15 feet as part of that same bonus action. And then you've got a couple of different types of cannons that you can do. You can do a flamethrower cannon, which gives it basically a 15-foot cone dexterity save that does 2d8 fire damage. It does catch anything that's on fire as long as it's not worn or carried. You can make a force ballista, which has a ranged attack of 120 feet, and it does 2d8 force damage. And if the creature is of a certain, if the target's a creature, it's pushed 5 feet. This is another one that, Justin, I know you're gonna like jump down my throat. Well, it doesn't give a size specification.
It ought to.
Yeah, it doesn't really say size specification, but it does push it up to 5 feet. And then the last one is pretty cool. This is like a bubble shield, kind of from like Halo. It creates a burst of positive energy that grants itself and each creature within 10 feet of it a number of temporary hit points up to 1d8 plus your intelligence. So that protector feature does get better later on as you level this up. But you basically just have a cool little cannon with legs.
Sick as hell.
Like I said, I don't know why you would choose to not give it legs, just because it can walk and move and stuff. It does 15 feet of movement as a bonus action, and that's what it's going to be, because it's one of your little artificer constructs. It's a good bonus action to use it.
Yeah. The only reason I can think of not like not unoccupied space. It's tiny. It can be held in one hand. So maybe that, like the idea that maybe you affix it to your backpack or like a shoulder mounted cannon is kind of cool. Okay. But other than that, unless you find a cool way to like wear it or carry it, it absolutely must have legs. It must. It simply must. I don't want to tell you guys how to play the game, but it simply must. It simply must.
So starting at level 5, you can make an arcane firearm, which basically is like an improved spellcasting focus. You can do a wand, staff, or rod into an arcane firearm that adds a d8 of damage to the spell's damage roll. Whatever the damage type is, it just adds a d8, which is, pretty awesome. And then it's like a free upcast almost. For some spells, certain spells, it's just like a free extra upcast.
Yeah, it's huge. Incredible.
Yeah. And then at level 9, you can make your Eldritch Cannon even more destructive. All your cannon's damage rolls increase by a d8. So everything that does damage up there, instead of 2d8, it's now 3d8. And then as an action, you can command your cannon to detonate if you're within 60 feet of it. Doing so destroys the cannon and forces each creature within 20 feet to make a dex save, taking 3d8 force damage on a failed save.
Wild.
Yeah, so you can basically roll it up there, bonus action flamethrower, then whatever. Boom. Explode. Turn it into a freaking suicide bomber.
It's insane.
Doing a total of, I guess it would be a total of 6d8 damage. 3 of it being fire and 3 of it being force, just on a group of people, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's very, very cool. Just makes your main shtick of your subclass that much better. Very cool.
And then the last one here at level 15, you get the fortified position feat. Basically, you're a master at forming a barrier, kind of like I imagine it always as that layer of sandbags around the artillery, where you can kind of hunch down behind it. You and your allies have half cover while you're within 10 feet of the cannon, and and like this is kind of more that bubble shield thing from Halo that I was thinking of, where like you can kind of just hunker down around it. It doesn't say you have to be behind it; you just have to be within 10 feet of it. And also you can have 2 cannons. You can have them be the same or different. They can create them both at one time with the same action, and then you can activate them both as with the same bonus actions. Yeah, and while you currently have 2 cannons, you obviously can't make a third, but you can I don't know, send one of them in there on its little walkie legs and blow it up, and then make another one if you don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that one's been betraying you in the fight and like not rolling well. Then you just, all right, whatever, go in there, go blow up.
Truly wild to completely just take this like key feature of the subclass and be like, now you get 2. What the heck? That's insane. Obviously you got to hold out to level 15 to do it, but still super flippin' impressive. Yeah. That's the artillerist. Makes sense.
The one thing I will say about this Artificer class in general is it's one that I thought was going to lend itself well to multiclassing. It doesn't. It's another one of these ones kind of like Rogue where like it really benefits you to go all the way.
Yeah, you just have to go so far into Artificer because you really, it's like, man, if you're going to miss out on doubling your little battle bot buddy.
That's level 15. Rough. Or level 15.
That's rough.
But yeah, so that's the artillerist. We got one left. We're on the last one. Home stretch,
the
baby.
Battlesmith. Speaking of arcane little battle bot buddies. So I'll do some of the basic stuff since I know Taylor has played this class, well documented, so I'll let Taylor handle most of it. But I'll go over the basic level 3 stuff that you're expecting. Tool proficiency. You get proficient with Smith's tools. If you already have it, pick another one. You guys get it by this point. Domain spells. 3rd level, heroism, shield. Now we know why Taylor picked this class.
Hell yeah.
5th level, branding smite, warding bond. Dude, warding bond is a spell that I wish I had the courage to pick more often and cast it because I'm a coward. I never do it. But it's such a noble ass spell. 9th level, aura of vitality and conjure barrage. That's really cool. Conjure barrage is such a specific ranger spell. That's really cool. 13th level, aura of purity and fire shield. 17th level, banishing smite, one of the best smites, and mass cure wounds, a solid ass healing spell. That's really fucking dope.
Level 17.
And then we get even some more proficiencies at 3rd level before even getting our buddy. You become proficient with martial weapons. That's really cool. I think that's the first time we see that in the Artificer class. And when you attack with a magic weapon, which, hey gang, you're going to be infusing your weapon probably. That's right. I don't want to speak for you. There's a lot of infusions in the world, but most likely.
1,000% though. Yeah, give yourself that +1.
Especially because when you do that now and you're using a magic weapon, you get to add your intelligence modifier instead of strength or dexterity for the attack and damage rolls. So once again, an incredible melee martial opportunity without using the physical stats.
Yeah, and I think that this is kind of one of those things where because Artificer doesn't get a whole, like, I mean, it gets a bunch of stuff, but like all the really, really, really cool stuff for Artificer are like high level things. You don't want to multi-class, so this gives you an option to not have to multi-class in order to get these different, like, to be good at attacking stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, now I want to try multi-classing it though. I mean, it would go in such specific directions. I mean, did it. Artificer and Wizard makes some even better sense now because you can double down on intelligence in a way that even like the Alchemist can't do. Just because intelligence is now helping your melee and your spellcasting. Crazy. Like the only time you get to do shit like that is with Hexblade stuff or like the Pact of the Blade with Warlocks, I think.
Yeah.
Is pretty much the only other time you can really do that, is use like a mental stat to boost a physical attack because they get to use charisma.
Yeah.
Wild. Incredible. But let's
Wild.
get into it. Let's get into our big our little boy.
So the one of the like key features of the Battlesmith is you get to create a faithful companion, a little guy, a steel defender that can help you in battle. The same thing as all the other constructs that we've talked about for the Artificer. It's going to share your initiative, but it goes after you. It can move and use its reaction on its own. If you don't give it a command, it can only do the dodge action. If you do want to give it a command, it costs you a bonus action. If you get incapacitated, it can do it at once, not just dodge. You can basically just use it as an attacker or a defender or whatever. Another construct thing, use your mending spell to give it 2d6 HP. If this is different from the cannon in that if it is dropped down to 0, you can spend an action with your smith tools and pick it back up. It does, if you die, it dies. It does have some pretty okay stats as opposed to the Homunculus Servant. It's got a 15 armor class. It's got proficiency with dexterity and constitution saving throws, so that's going to be adding your proficiency to those saving throws. And it's got +2 to strength, +1 to dex, +2 to constitution, and then all of its mental stats are garbage because it's just a construct. It does have proficiency in athletics and expertise in perception. So even though it's got a straight 10 in wisdom, so +0, but you do get to do double your proficiency bonus for perception in that. Immune to poison damage, and then also immune to being charmed, exhaustion, and the poison condition. It's got dark vision for 60 feet. It does have the vigilant feat, which means that the defender cannot be surprised, which is huge. As far as attacks go, it has a force empowered rend, which is does force damage attack. It's a D8 plus your proficiency bonus. And then also it can repair itself, which is nice. Up to 3 times a day, it can, you can tell it to basically spend its action to regain 2d8 plus your proficiency hit points to itself, or it can also heal a construct or an object within 5 feet of it. So it can repair something else too. If you say have a Steel Defender and a Homunculus, the Steel Defender can heal the Homunculus.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a ton of healing if you really think about it. I mean, it's a second level cure wounds essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I remember when you were using that
hit
at
points
low
are,
levels. You get this at level 3 and it already is healing 2d8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I can tell you as a DM when the monster's like, there you go, 12 damage to the fucking steel dog. And then it on the very next turn just being like, and heal all of that. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
I gotta hit a dog again. Words I never want to say.
And also, if you really want to get into it, you can cast Mending on it as your action, and then also bonus action heal it. So, but really and honestly, 2d8 plus your proficiency bonus is a lot. It does get hit points equal to its max HP is 2 plus your intelligence modifier plus 5 times your artificer level. For
sure. What I will say, and this is because I'm a fucking stinkler when it comes to rules because I have a bunch of power players, mending casting time is a minute. It really
is it really?
Isn't that fucking crazy? Well, I feel like that's a good trivia question. A lot of people
crazy.
Probably don't know that.
Yeah, I just thought it was an action. That's interesting.
But still.
Cool. Either way, it can heal itself in battle, which is the big thing. And then the last thing that it gets is the thing that makes it the quote-unquote defender. It gets deflect attack. As a reaction, it can impose disadvantage on an attack roll of one creature that's within 5 feet of it, provided the attack roll is against something other than the defender. So that means that you and your little battle buddy can go roll up on something, and if the bad guy tries to attack you, the Steel Defender can use its reaction to make it disadvantage.
Insane. Infuriating.
Absolutely awesome. It's amazing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Because
I love
it has its own reaction. doesn't take the
Mhm.
the Artificer's reaction, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's main attack is melee. It's gonna be up close and personal as much as possible. Speed of 40 feet. It's gonna get there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's fast boy. It's fast. Yeah, I didn't actually bring that up, but yeah, it's got 40 feet of movement. This thing is quick.
Moving.
It's moving, baby. Level 5. I think we've talked about the Steel Defender enough. We're gonna move on to level 5 here. You get extra attack, easy peasy. So 2 attacks per attack action. And then at level 9, you get Arcane Jolt. Whenever you hit a target with a magic weapon attack, or your Steel Defender hits a target, you can add either 2d8 or 2d6 force damage, or you can choose a creature or object you can see within 30 feet of the target and heal it for 2d6.
Insane.
And then you can use that number of times up to your intelligence modifier, but you can only do them once per turn. You can only do it once per turn. You can't even if you've got 2 attacks or something like that, or like you attack and then your Steel Defender attacks, you can't do it on both of those attacks. You can only do it on one per turn.
Got it. But that does mean you could do it on opportunity attacks, because it
does mean you can do it on opportunity attacks. And actually, technically, you could with that same logic, you can do it on your first attack, and then your Steel Defender can do it on its attack because it's on a different turn. Because it's technically your turn, then the Steel Defender's turn. Oh boy, it's got its own initiative.
That's broken as hell. I mean, it's kind of broken.
Yeah. Because when we're talking about it like that, because that is the wording of it, it is once per turn, once on a turn. It's not on your turn you can do this. It's once per turn. Insane. So you have a turn, and then your Steel Defender also has a turn where it has its own set of action economy. So that's technically you can do that. But only up to your intelligence modifier. Minimum of 1 time, generally maximum of 5 times until you get some crazy intelligence buffs and stuff like that. Yeah. And then you get all your expended uses back when you get a long rest. And then finally at level 15, you get the improved Defender. At 15th level, your Arcane Jolt and the Steel Defender both of those abilities become more powerful. The damage and healing of Arcane Jolt increases to 4d6. Your Steel Defender gets a +2 to AC, so it's now rocking a 17 AC. And then when your Steel Defender uses the deflect attack, the attacker also takes force damage equal to 1d4 plus your intelligence modifier. At level 15, that's a little, not a lot of damage, but it's crazy that you're imposing disadvantage and also doing damage.
Yeah, without rolling to hit.
And because it's not just 1d4. Because it's not an attack hit. It's not. I was going to say, it was like, because you can't. I was going to say, dude, you could stack that with your Arcane Jolt and do extra. This 1d4 plus 4d6 plus intelligence. That's not it. It doesn't work like that. Because it is just a reaction to impose disadvantage, and then it also gives him that little stank on it.
Still incredible. So cool. A lot of opportunity for flavor with this one. Same as the cannon. I mean, the cannon, you just have to incorporate a cannon somewhere, right? Whatever. But this one, force empowered rend. The fuck does that mean other than force damage? You know what I mean? Like you could flavor that however the fuck you want. It's a dog with a cannon. Yeah. It's a gazelle. Why is that the second animal I thought of? It's a Thompson's gazelle.
Yeah, obviously, those are the two.
From the Serengeti. Come on.
It's an ibex. Yeah.
Very specific, safari-based artificer.
Yeah. That'd actually be pretty fun.
You're just like out there fighting poachers. You're just Ace Ventura inside of a mechanical fucking rhino.
Rhino?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. So the Artificer, I mean, pretty sick. 4 subclasses. Like we said at the Artificer episode, the Artificer has not made its way to the 2024 Player's Handbook yet. So this is the only thing that you got to worry about. And I'd be surprised if they made a ton of changes
You
to
know-
it only for the sake of it's the most recent class added to 5th edition.
Yeah,
Who
and the
knows?
more I learned about it, the more it's probably probably my second favorite class.
It's
now.
very, very cool.
First class is always going to be cleric. It's always going to be cleric, but second favorite class, 100,000% is going to be artificer, just because there's so many different ways that you can take it with the subclasses and flavor it differently. Like
Yeah.
you can play a million different artificers and none of them are going to be the same.
100%. It truly is like diverse as hell, different opportunities to try different things depending on what type of half-caster you want to be, but also just so many different interesting build opportunities flavor-wise. I'm curious to see what it would be like to play as one, because I've never played as an artificer, especially like in a game that is a little more challenging from a mechanical standpoint, because I think that's where sometimes, the game mechanics really get tested, is when you're playing with other people who are all about that portion of D&D. Like our home game, for example. Like, yes, we'll have entire sessions that are only RP. There's not a lick of combat and very few dice rolls. But when we get into combat, it can get pretty heady. It's not that it's not for everybody.
Harrowing.
Because I'm one of those interesting DMs and D&D enthusiasts who, like, there are times where I'm like, I'm fine with the game being 80% roleplay personally, but sometimes I do like getting real heady into the rules and real crunchy and shit like that with D&D, because I know the game so well. Sometimes I really do like fucking getting up there and casting all these crazy ass spells and like multi-classing or like optimizing every little bit of it, and I think the artificer would be a lot of fun. It would be interesting to see how it plays with different groups, like how it plays off teammates.
Man, that would be a lot of fun to do. I really would like to just backseat Kaladin for an episode, just for like a fight where we have one of our epic super fights where I die sometimes in the middle of the fight, like a redo of the Sabbath fight with a freaking battlesmith or with a freaking armorer.
Yeah.
It'd be
Absolutely.
fun.
Well, there's gonna be a artificer who makes an appearance in the upcoming future pretty soon too. Next level.
Oh, nice.
You'll meet an NPC who's an artificer who we still have to decide how we're going to play it as a group, in terms of like, does everyone want to run their PC and a 10th level NPC?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Or how are we doing that? But he's there. He's a fun ass character too.
Yeah.
He's like, he calls himself Fellis's uncle, but he's not blood related at all.
Like Uncle Ruckus, no relation.
Exactly like that. And he has a really interesting like personality quirk that I'm curious to see how it'll actually work in effect, where he has like a Deadpool break the fourth wall kind of thing. I don't know how I'm even going to do it. I just had this funny idea of having this like crazy artificer who just can break the fourth wall every once in a while, but everybody around him just thinks that he's kind of crazy.
He's just
so like he'll be talking to Kaladin, he'll be like, so Taylor, how's the new job? All right, cool. And then everyone around him's like, don't even worry about it. He does that. He just does that sometimes. Like he's the character who'll be like, oh, you rolled, it's just under the armor class. That sucks. I hate that for you. Give me a D8. Like, what? Just like, for some reason I think that's really funny. But he's an artificer. I forget what kind of artificer he is. But yeah, he's some kind of artificer.
Whatever kind it is. I enjoy all four of these subclasses. Every one of them has its own little kind of niche and fun things that you can do with it. Like the artillerist. Definitely, I'm imagining like the movie Wild Wild West, the big spider thing. Only just miniature little spider thing.
Hell yeah. I think he might be this particular NPC, who, by the way, is you're figuring out NPCs and PCs and stuff like that. You got to think of the ancestry and the race or whatever, right? And because he's an NPC, I can break the rules. That he doesn't have to be an elf or a half elf. He can be fucking a monster, like using monster stats. He can even be a monster stat that technically doesn't exist that I've just homebrewed because it doesn't matter. He's an NPC. And so he is, are you familiar with like twig blights? Like little twig creatures? They're like plants. No. But they're made of twigs, and it's just like a living bushel of twigs. But this one is ice. Because he lives near the star mounts where Pop Bing So, the ancient white dragon, lives. So because it's an Arctic environment, I flavored a lot of NPCs around snow and winter. So he's just like a ice elemental, but like a little tiny one. And he's an artificer, wears the goggles and everything like that. And I think he's a battlesmith. No, not battlesmith. He's an artillerist. But I think his battle cannon is just like one, like like an eagle like a desert eagle. Like this little teeny tiny ice elemental just holding like an absolutely massive hand cannon.
Every time it fires, it falls on its ass.
Gets blown backwards. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is just how funny that would be to have this massive pistol. And it works out too because he's made of ice, which, as we all know, is just water. And thank you so much, Big Tap, for sponsoring another episode of So You Want to Be a DM.
There it is. Okay, well, that's all we can get into this time. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at So You Want to Be a DM, or ask us a question at soyouwannabeadm@gmail.com. If you like the episode, don't forget to give us 5 stars and a review wherever you found us, and check out the Patreon and Twitch with the link in the description.
Big Tap!
Join us next time for more Dungeon Master tips and tricks.
Bye!
See you.
And now I have the honor of giving a shout out to the members of our Patreon gang. Lee, we can't wait to roll dice with you. Nub Muffins, may Paylor's light shine upon you. And there's Vanessa D, Talk Screen, and Tappy. If you want a shout out, join the Adult or Ancient Dragon gangs on Patreon. Tune in next time for more tips and tricks from So You Wanna Be a DM.